Hello bike farmers, welcome back to another episode. I've got myself a free bike. Yeah, some guy was moving out of town and he said, would you like a chrome 80s Mongoose ATB? And I was like, oh yes I do. I certainly do. But I mean, it's all taken apart. It's got some neat parts on it. This is some vintage mountain bike stuff from the 80s. I love these chrome frames just because, you know, chrome is one of my favorite colors. And yeah, we're gonna pull this out of the box, throw it up in the stand and take a look and see what we've been given. The guy that gave this to me was one of my very earliest customers when I first got my little bike shop going after my first season in the bike mobile. And he had another interesting project. It's an older Schwinn kind of cruiser thing that he paid me a lot of money to restore that probably I would advise against doing now, but back then when I was just getting started, I was just kind of doing whatever came across the desk or the bench. All right, well, looks like sealed. It says it's sealed, but they're not really sealed. Hubs. Some older, I don't know what kind of, probably Araya rims. They match though, so that's good. These are SR Sun Tour hubs, I believe. Some original, old school, not original, but Bontrager Jones tires. I don't love them. I think the plan for this one will be kind of to make a comfort bike ATB. You know what's really cool is it actually is a Mongoose ATB. So I just read this the other day, I didn't know it, but apparently Ritchie had trademarked mountain bike, the term mountain bike. So a lot of these early ones, they couldn't call them mountain bikes, so they called them all-terrain bikes, which, to be fair, is a far more accurate description. Something like this, upright handlebars, we'll put a comfy saddle on it, and some kind of general purpose tires would be an all-terrain bike more so than a mountain bike. Mountain biking was more of a touring thing, I think, in the early days, where you'd have to like gear up and go into the mountains to ride your bike on mountain fire roads and dirt trails and that kind of thing. And then it's kind of, you know, what we call a mountain bike today, I would call is more like a trail bike, or I don't know, there's a more specific term, single track, I don't know. I just think the terminology is a little off, because really we're riding them through the woods like, I don't know, everybody's mountain biking around here and there's no mountains to be seen. So anyway, I digress. This is an ATB and I'm going to treat it as such. Get some of this packaging material out of here. The housing is trashed. Very cool. This is a very cool Sun Tour brake binder, brake housing stop that I just found. So that'll go on there. Looks like we're missing a top cap for that headset. Well, maybe it's there. Get that sorted out. There's gonna be a lot of interesting finds on this bike, I believe, for you vintage mountain bike enthusiasts. Some of these cool bits. I don't know, I might be ill-advised on some of the decisions I'm about to make. This is a nice beefy mountain bike Zeffel pump. Like a higher volume frame pump. It's not any heavier. That's pretty cool, actually. It's pretty light. But I don't think it's good for this bike. So we're going to take this bracket off. Get these lights off here too. They're pretty bad. You know, I know we're not supposed to pass judgment. These lights could be just fine for someone, but I'm calling them bad. They don't have a whole lot of value in my bike farming life. You just end up with piles and piles and buckets of stuff if you don't make the call sometimes. I am gonna save this pump bracket because I kind of like this thing. I'm wondering if there's some value out there, if people get into it. Here's a little frame bag with, sounds like some bits in it. Let's see what kind of fun things we score in here. We've got a whistle. Scored me a whistle. I'm not gonna blow it. A little T-handled wrench with some bits in it. That's cool. Ooh, some nice metal tire levers. Brooks. Couple of Brooks, made in England, Brooks tire levers. There, get my light. Those are kind of neat. Never seen those. I like it. Magnetic. We like magnets. Okay. Yeah, so this bag has a little pouch with bits. Oh man, there's all kinds of stuff going on in here. Oh yeah, look at that. Let's see what's going on. Free stuff for me. What do we do with it? TBD. It's kind of a nice multi-tool set. You know, the bag is kind of made for it. The bag is pretty tired and worn. So I think, you know, I got an 8, 9, and 10, 4, 5, and 6, Phillips and flat. Pretty cool. But that is broken. Just broke that. I mean, it was already broken. I wonder if I have glue strong enough to make that a thing once again. Okay. So here's the bike. It's got a little bit of rust on it. I might have some steel wool. Frame's got a little bit of rust on it. Some fine steel wool seems to take it off. I wonder how much polishing we can do with this. I'm told that aluminum foil does a pretty good job too. So like I was saying, a lot of mountain bikes back in the day came with racks because you'd end up having to camp out there if you wanted to get any riding done, because it would take you all day to ride out there, and then you'd have to camp, and then you could go ride around on the trails with your bike unloaded and go back to camp, and you know, it'd be a weekend excursion. But I think we're going to take this one off. Right now I'm just going to get rid of this light. And this light. I'm just cutting them off. These are so old, they're nylon straps. Which actually works pretty well. Okie dokes. Lights are off. This would be way cooler with some chrome handlebars. Of course, I'm gonna really struggle to get these bolts out. from the inside here. They're Phillips head screw bolts. Phillips head bolts. Watch me fail miserably at this. You know, give ourselves a fighting chance. See if we can get a little bit of lube back there. Sometimes that helps. Try to get good purchase on that bolt head before we start cranking on it. I already rounded it out once. Maybe if I get it just over here. Okay. Let's take a different tack. Maybe if I loosen the stays up. Okay, so maybe if I loosen the stays up over here. Find myself an 8mm. Ay, ay, ay. All right, so I like to use a ratcheting underneath. I got a million of these nuts and bolts. So I'm hoping that if I do that, the bolt head will move. There, it just moved. That one's not moving. A little bit of tri-flow. There we go. So they weren't frozen in there. That's a good sign. Probably won't run into a whole lot of terrible rust issues. Now that I said that, I'm looking at the water bottle screws. This rack isn't anything fancy. If it was a Jand or an old Blackburn, I'd probably keep it, but it's just an old Chinese rack. Let's take a look at these bottle cages, flathead screws. Seem to be coming out okay. I had another one of these bikes and it was missing the decals. It's totally chrome. And some bull moose bars for it. Pretty cool. And I forgot I sold it to a friend, and then the other day ran into the guy. Saw it. It had chrome fenders. I had an old rim dynamo, you know, from a Schwinn with a big chrome headlight on it. That's kind of a fun bike. This has a California bicycle license on it, which I am definitely keeping on here. Usually I take the licenses off. Triple butted chromoly, 4130. See if we can figure out what we've all got here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of furniture spray. I'm gonna grab a semi-clean rag. Just see if some of the... try that again. A lot of that surface rust will come right off, I think. So what does that say? Turn the light on. Made in Taiwan for BMX Products, Moore Park, California, 1987. California bicycle license. So there's the California bicycle license. Triple butted chromoly. Pretty cool frame. You know, it's got a reinforced seat collar here. It's kind of got a lug. You know, we've got some TIG welded to this lug, and then the stays are TIG welded to this. Looks like this collar is brazed on there. The rest of the bike looks to be TIG welded. The brazed dropouts. Pretty standard dropouts, just brazed on here. Pretty neat bike. This can be somewhat educational. So a little bit of furniture spray. We had some surface rust and some dust. You know, we don't necessarily want to take steel wool because this is a sticker. But, so you don't want to steel wool the sticker. But in here, you can gingerly hit these tubes with a little bit of steel wool. Sometimes if you get the furniture polish right on the steel wool, magic can happen too. So there I am, steel wooling that sticker very lightly. Hope I don't live to regret that. Things get kind of grungy down in here. But if you can kind of scuff things up a little bit, I should take that cable off and just... I mean, I should take the cable and cranks and just take it all apart and clean it, but not sure we need to go to that length here. Good shot of that UBreak too. See how it looks underneath. Up here in the seat cluster, working in here before with the steel wool. It's hard to get into the nooks and crannies. The brush can get at it. Bring it back to life, hit it with the rag. Oh, the chrome gods are thanking me today. Chrome likes to be shiny. So we got things cleaned up a little bit. All of the housing on this bike is trashed. So we're just going to replace it all with some nice new black housing. Man, that shined up really well. We need to find some handlebars. The black handlebars are not doing it for me. So you'll see these handlebars, this is kind of amazing. They kind of have this reinforced center, and then they've got they're upright with a little bit of sweep. Now they don't make handlebars like this anymore at all. But in my parts bin, for some reason, I've been holding on to these. Unbelievable. I mean, it's like a perfect match. They're a little grungy and beat up, but I'm going to hit those with some steel wool and replace them. So I think what we'll do, since this is a very untraditional bicycle tune-up for me, we're really just kind of making something here. I think we're going to work on the front of the bike first. So let's start tearing things apart. Here's a good look at how terrible the housing is. I mean, we just cut it all off. Barrel adjusters are still working. Shimano brake levers, these big bad boys. I like them. They're like motorcycle levers. I mean, a lot of the idea of these bikes came out of motocross, right? BMX. There's an old remnants of an old computer I just tore off. So we can just get our cable cutter and cut everything off right here. There's some straddle cables hanging on the brake down there. I'm going to cut, well, maybe not. All right, there's our old housing. One thing to keep an eye on are the ferrules. You never know. It looks like this ferrule goes pretty perfectly. Maybe not quite, but looks like it kind of wants to live there. We might be able to find something better, but you don't want to lose track of these little vintage bits that tend to disappear from the earth. Ow! I just got poked by the cables here because I was trying to cut corners. Save that, buddy. Alright. Get the little bits of cable off. Get a little knife and just cut the grips off. Never cut towards yourself with a really flimsy, dull knife. Unless you're making a YouTube video. and your viewers will be riveted. Okay, so that's that. Now we've got Phillips head or 8mm here. Very rusty. Should spray those before turning them, but I didn't. 5mm back here. Still got some remnants of the grips. Pull the levers off. Set them aside for now. I could loosen this more and then maybe come off easier. Far end, nice metal one. Too bad I don't have two of them. I might have one in my bin. Okay. This stem is so pretty. Suntour XC stem. Can you see that? There we go. Now I got a black one for the bin. Let's take a closer look at this headset situation. I think there's supposed to be a spacer in there. So I'm going to dig one of those out of my headset stuff drawer. That looks like a good lock nut, but it might just be a middle lock nut. I think if I can find a spacer that's also a cable stop, that's the route I want to take, even though that Suntour one is so cool. There's just not enough steer on this fork. What does this say? Spinner. Bearings still look good. Races still look good. I mean, since I have it all apart, we might as well clean it. That's empty. Hit it with the good stuff. Some degreaser. Alright, got some bearings here. This can of speed degreasers, almost dead. Dropped one. Huh? All right, we're gonna put this headset back together. A bunch of grease on these bearings here. I just cake it on. All right. Super gooey. Greaser thread's good and good. And then same thing with the adjustable cup. Uh-oh. One of the balls fell out of the retainer. I'm gonna go on a search quick. I just found a new retainer that fits. Good and greasy. Oh, that's looking good. So I do believe that this is designed to sit on there like that. I think it came like that from the factory. I don't think there was a spacer between these, between the adjustable cup and the lock nut. So I don't know. I think there should be a spacer, but I don't think there was. So I'm going to work with what I've got. Instead of hunting down some sort of spacer, I really want to use this cool hanger. This does look really clean. These wrenches really fit well together. I mean, it's really having these two nuts very thin right next to each other makes that adjustment really easy. I like that. And then this guy, I already kind of lubed that bolt in there. That guy can go right there. And then, you know, we get it as centered as possible. Oop. And crank that tight. I mean, theoretically, this is going to kind of hold this from backing off. So I think that's pretty good. Then we can take our stem here and grease everything there. Why not? I love having everything apart so it can get cleaned and greased. I don't take every bike apart. And then, you know, usually with my bikes I like to keep that stem up, but this is going to look way better down. So I'm going to do my best to eyeball things here. I'm going to eyeball this for centering. Crank down these guys. I mean, that's a very, very cool stem and handlebar. You know, the good thing about this bike is it's my size. I'm not gonna lie. I have a feeling I'm gonna love this one. And when I love a bike, it tends to stick around. So this bike has what's called a UBreak, which is down under here. And there are posts, bosses, just like a cantilever brake or a V-brake, which are usually on the seat stays. So I just spray a little one step in there and let it work down into those bosses. Everything's moving freely, which is great. And the one step is a cleaner and a luber. So if we just use what's there, by the books, they claim that we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And it appears to be the case. These are hard to work on, I think. Hard to adjust. Difficult. Frustrating. And we had to cut the cable, so we're kind of starting from scratch on it. But it does give us an excuse to get into the nether regions a little bit. And I kind of love how this saddle says ATB on it. You know, there's a bit of an industry trend to ATB right now. Taking old mountain bikes and turning them into all-terrain bikes. Because they got away from this, you know, kind of really comfortable geometry and upright handlebars and comfy saddles. Got away from that. Everything got all racy. And bikes got really uncomfortable with skinny saddles and straight handlebars and all kinds of things that really don't make much sense at all to me. So anyway, but it's torn, so we have to give up the ATB saddle. And for now, I'm just going to leave this be. I'm going to leave this ATB. Oh my God, I'm gonna drop something. You know it's gonna happen. Here we go. I had it upside down. It's my first day fixing bikes. Might as well get up in here too. Wipe it all. All right, we're gonna work on some wheels here. I have decided against keeping these tires. I want this to be more of a cruising around, practical bike. These are some pretty aggressive off-road tires. I don't see myself in muddy conditions with this bike or the next owner of it. So, woo, crunchy. Everything's very crunchy. Ugh. I'm gonna need a new rim strip. And it's a double-walled rim. Very nice. So we'll put tape in there. It's a 6-speed freewheel. Get my pretty face in. I wonder if Harvey's watched this far. My friend Harvey told me, you need to smile more. Okay, buddy. You got it. Ooh. Oh man, what a nice wheel. An oldie but a goodie. It's got eyelets? No. It's a good wheel. Does look like it's got a bit of a, took a hit at some point. We're not going to get it perfect, but that's fine. Some nice, got some 2.1 inch tires to put on it. Trying a new tire. I basically bought them just for this build. I bought a few extras just in case I like them. Put them on future ATBs. Okay, I'm using some citrus degreaser here to clean the wheel. First of all, it doesn't smell as bad as the other stuff. It's not super toxic like the real nasty stuff. And it leaves behind a little bit of, I don't know, it feels like a oily lubricant that you can wipe off with a clean rag in the end, and it really polishes things up. I like how it works on this old stuff where it's just kind of caked on, you know, cuts through the grime and leaves a good finish. So I'll go through with the dirty rag and the degreaser. Comes out of the can real good too. For prepping a rag. I'm gonna through the inside there. I have a little bottle of isopropyl alcohol, and I'm gonna clean the inside of this rim because we're gonna tape it. And if you kind of degrease that, get it down to bare metal, the tape sticks. It's really annoying to have the tape start delaminating when you're putting the tires on. Life is already hard enough. Well, that's annoying. Leave that for the kitties. They'll love that. Wow, that IPA really works too. Look at that, look what I just discovered. Isopropyl alcohol for a nice final polish. What does it do on that hub? Oh yeah, buddy. You can't see it, but I can, and it's good. I don't love this spoke protector, but it ain't broken. It's a little dirty, so I'm gonna keep it. Papa don't preach, I'm keeping that baby. Okay. So, grease threads. Feels really good. Get some tape, get some wide tape. Rim tape, and these are already cut for Schrader valves, which is nice. I don't have to do any trimming. Oh yeah, this fits really well. I'll get you a good angle on that. Fits in there perfectly. Yeah, on the double-walled rims, you want to use this tape, or else the tubes the pressure will put them in there, and those sharp edges will cut the tubes. On a single-walled rim, where the nipples just are hanging out, you can just use the rubber, because it's just a little barrier between the tube and those things, and you don't run into troubles. But you'll see people use rubber in here, and it'll work for a while, you know, but it ain't right. So, in a pinch, go for it. It's high pressure rim tape. Woo! Lucky we survived the high pressure. It's a high pressure environment. I'm going to do the same to the front wheel. Exact same procedure. This rim strip is intact, but there's no real reason to do that. But since we did the other one, I'm doing it. This has some interesting axle washers that don't seem to, oh yeah, they will serve a purpose. So try to hold on to those. We're going to end up taking these nuts off and running them through the wire wheel like the other ones. You can take this computer magnet off. I did feel one loose spoke, so we'll see if we can figure out what that's all about. There's a big wobbly. Ah, there it is. We don't have a broken spoke. We have a missing nipple. How strange. Okay, so a missing nipple. These are old threads. I'm just going to put a little drop of lube on there. Get my nipple in there. Put the spoke on there, find an inadequate screwdriver, get things started. One nipple missing, that's so strange. but it trued right up once we got that nipple in there. Wow, that was fast. I mean, it's not completely true, but it's straight. Citrus degreaser again. We'll run a little, you know, like I said, it leaves that oily residue, so you got to get that oily residue off with the IPA, which on that rear wheel, I kind of learned something there. This is more of an agitation step than a finishing polish step. Getting the chemicals on there and then spreading it around with the rag. Yeah, this is shining right up. Stainless steel spokes. They are not stained. Always good to dab a little grease on your axle threads here. These are really nice axle nuts. I think this is a good place to stop on this two-parter. I wasn't planning on it being a two-parter, but it's taken a little bit longer than expected, so we're doing the right thing. This bike is going to come together, so we've got it all apart. Everything's prepped. Tomorrow we will, well, tomorrow for me, but in part 2, we'll start assembling everything, putting some tires on those wheels, getting this on, new cables, housing, find some pedals for it. I might end up taking apart that bottom bracket that's a little loose. Which will help us polish some nether regions. You know, there's still a lot to go on this bike, but this is a true restoration of a vintage ATB. And thanks for tuning in. If you like what you've been watching and you've made it this far, I would hope that you'd subscribe, hit the notification bell so you catch new videos. I'm trying to get 1 or 2 out every week. Some weeks are easier than others. Some bikes are easier than others. There'll be more of a smattering of content. I want to start doing some quickie tune-ups and maybe a little bit more bike farming, some of the other things I do around here. You know, so content is coming. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Thank you so much.